Kanoi, and I am back with a journal with me in my brand new junk journal. I'm so excited to bust into this. It has been a long time in the making. I did do a flip through as well as a process video on how I made this junk journal. So if you're interested, you can check out my channel. So I'm just starting out by trying to make an intro page. I didn't want to put anything on that inside cover, so I decided to make this front page kind of my book plate cover. I don't even know what you'd call it, like where the library cards go. So kind of my title page, I guess you could call it. So I just took a page out of a beautiful floral book. It was a vintage floral book, and I'm just making an envelope out of it. And you can see it's a really simple envelope. I'm just tearing the edges. I just found, a page that I loved, that I thought was really pretty, and I'm inking up the edges, and then I'm simply going to go to my sewing machine. Actually, I did it already off camera, and I just sewed right around it. I'm using gold thread, so it's really hard to see, but it's really pretty in person. I decided that blue Distress Oxide wasn't showing up enough, so I went in with Walnut Stain, which of course is a lot of our favorites. I'm using some tacky glue to make a pocket, so I'm keeping the top portion open so that I can put a tag inside. And now I am just looking through my stash of scraps, things that are piling up on the side of my desk, and trying to find some elements to put on my tag. I knew that I wanted to use one of these by Johanna or Little Bindi, one of these little title plates, and I am just hand lettering my name on it, putting the date of when I started this junk journal, and then I'm going to add it to a tag. I thought I would put it on this tag, but honestly, once I stuck it in that pocket, it was just way too small for that entire page. So I took a scrap piece that I had hanging out on the side, and I decided to just hand cut a really large tag, using my hole punch to create a hole in the top, and taking out another scrap and just creating a pocket on the bottom of that so that I can add whatever I want to add. Since this is such a large tag, that little book plate was not enough to fill it up. And this is another scrap that I pulled out of my ribbons. I keep everything. I don't know if you guys do, but I definitely keep everything that I think could potentially be something to be added into a junk journal. And here I'm just going to do a little bit of collaging right onto the envelope to create some interest. So I'm just inking up some scrap pieces. I have a scrap ribbon that I got from some gift wrapping, and then taking a word or a phrase. I love using these, and it works. I feel like any place you pop that on a page, it makes it look really cool. It's just a place where your eye goes, and the words are always so positive, and it's something that will definitely bring you joy throughout the day. So I'm taking a look at this tag, and I'm thinking, gosh, it probably needs something else, but for now, I'm just going to leave it and ink up the edges on the back. And I wanted to write something on it, so I decided to write a letter to whoever ends up reading this, whether it's way down the line, many, many years to come, when it is found in an attic somewhere, or, if something happens, who knows? But whoever reads it, I just wanted them to know my heart and, what they will find inside this journal. So about a couple of weeks ago, I had a work trip that I went on. We went to our Lime Life convention, and I have so many photos and so many things that I wanted to use here in my journal to do a full spread. This wasn't even a percentage of the photos that I took. There were so many. And I tried to pick out the ones that were the most momentous for me. And okay, yeah, I did a selfie. I'm in the makeup industry, so I do take a lot of those. I'm not big on selfies, but sometimes I have to just because of the way that my makeup is. But this was some tissue paper that I got in one of the bags from a gift that they gave to us. And so I wanted that to be a part of this spread. So I am just loosely decoupaging it on. Not really. I mean, it's more just gluing it on. I didn't really try to make it pretty or perfect, and it's all wrinkly, and I was fine with that. I just wanted to make sure that it was a small part of this spread. And of course, I always feel like, our boarding passes are always such a great thing to keep. I came across some really old boarding passes when I went to an estate sale, and it brought back so many memories of when I used to travel as a child, having those boarding passes that they would write on, and they were flimsy and used to have ticket jackets. That wasn't even that long ago, but it really did. It just brought back so many memories. So I always love to have those in there, that one day, everything's probably going to be electronic, so paper tickets will be obsolete. So I ended up taking some of the photos from the event and just writing on the back of them who the people were that I took photos with. They were some of the most important people at the conference, and then these cards all came with whatever gift I received, whether it was an award or it was a pin or whatever it was. It signifies a really special moment written on the back of those cards. So I definitely wanted to keep those. And I know it looks like I took a lot of photos of myself. I don't typically put a bunch of photos of myself, but there was a whole backstory leading up to this conference. I honestly didn't want to go. I did a post about it on social media. Everybody was, prior to the conference, posting their outfits and everything they were going to wear, and I hadn't even gone shopping. I wasn't feeling great, and I just was not excited because I'm like, I'm going to be rolling up with years old wardrobe, and it was just a moment of rawness for me, to be transparent. And it was interesting because that post actually got a lot of traction. And anyway, I took photos of the different outfits that I wore, and they ended up being really special because I got to represent Hawaii, and I wore a lot of like Hawaiian print. So it was really special to be able to wear those things, and very different from what everyone else was wearing. And so that is why I took a lot of the photos of my outfits and of myself at the conference. And even this dress here, that was for the bash, and it was a dress that I actually had picked out for the Emmy Awards a couple of years ago when we got nominated for the show that I used to be a host of. We got nominated for an Emmy, and so I had that dress as a backup, and I never wore it because I never thought I looked good in it. But it's been hanging in my closet, and I squeezed myself into it, 10 pounds heavier. I didn't care. It's funny how, as you get more settled into your skin and into your confidence, and, you can just put on something and rock it, not thinking that you look amazing, just rock it because you're not worried about what everyone's thinking. And so that was the kind of the mentality that I had during this trip. So I just did some journaling on a card and placed it in the envelope, added a little bit more text to some of the photos, and I'm just trying to, in a sense, get rid of the photos. Like find a spot. And after doing this spread, I thought, man, I really should have done this over several pages, but it's okay. I mean, this kind of just ended up being a big ol', hodgepodge of photos plastered down. So it's not the prettiest spread, but, this is really just for me. And whenever I come to this spread and this page, it'll fill me up with joy for sure, seeing these photos and just bringing back the memories, because it was really fun. It was, probably 3 of the most exciting days that I've had in a really long time. So just adding little tags here and there so that I can have some journaling spots. And that's what I love about this, is I don't feel pressured to have to write novels or pages and pages of stuff. So you can just add little journaling, bits and pieces here and there. And that's what's really cool about it. And of course, this tiny attacher by Tim Holtz for the win. I mean, that little thing gets so much use in my journals. I love it. It staples so easily, and the staples are so tiny that you really can't see them. So I like the look of having staples, but I also don't like it. It's like a love-hate relationship. So this tiny attacher is kind of perfect. It's the best of both worlds. This picture here was a prayer circle that, I guess the prayer, this was the first time I went to this conference because I'm fairly new to the company, but apparently it's a tradition, and I was super honored to be a part of it because it was a small percentage of the women that were actually at this conference. So it was nice to be invited to it and to take part in it. So I definitely wanted to remember that. And then I'm just going in and trying to find some stickers to just kind of fill the space, and also to kind of, I don't know, highlight the words that I was feeling. Like that panel that I sat on was such an honor. I was chosen to sit on that panel and to speak to the thousands of women that were there, and it was the coolest thing. I had to struggle with the unworthiness and not feeling like I deserved to be up there, but in the end, the fact of the matter is I was chosen, and I just needed to sit in that, with humility, of course. Okay, so this is my daughter's first day of school, and these were a couple of things that we got from her open house from her teacher, and so I wanted to keep them because they were really sweet. The little card that I put into that bag there, it was a poem, a second grade poem, and it was just the cutest thing. And I thought, I'm going to look back on this and regret it if I didn't keep something. I don't like to keep every single thing from, when your child brings home schoolwork. I mean, we all know they pile up, but every now and then I'll pull something out because it's just a little bit more special or stands out a little bit more than other things. So I'm taking a frame from Little Bindi and just adding the photo from her first day of school. I only got a photo of her, not my son, because he is just too cool for pictures anymore. 7th grade. So I have to get the photos while I can, while my daughter is still willing to take a photo with me. And of course, just inking up the edge to give it a little bit more depth and ability to stand out on the page. I didn't want to cover that prayer. This junk journal was made out of the big little golden book, the prayers for children. So I wanted to keep several of the pages in there, and I did. I didn't want to cover the prayers though, because they're so sweet. And so I just taped it in so that I could have a little flip out and that prayer would still be in the place. Adding a tag again to have a little bit of journaling space. And then here in the end, I ended up going back later on in the day and doing a little bit more decoration. I tend to do that. I will go back to pages and add little elements, add little stickers. I'll add more tape. I mean, whatever it is. And then here's some more journaling that I did that when my camera actually cut off, so I wasn't able to film the process. But I did want to show you some of the things that I did. Just adding some cards and some printable doilies, doing some journaling. And then here was a day that my daughter and I spent at the ER with our neighbor. We took him in. So I had the tag that was on my shirt, and then just little things here and there. I decorated this envelope. I really wish I could have gotten that process because that was a lot of fun. But just wanted to kind of give you a sneak peek into what I did. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. I would love to see you on the next crafty video. Aloha.